welcome to today's webinar, BSC Balancing Act, sponsored by Kutol and Tennant. We're going to dive into facility image versus cost control. So I'm Elizabeth Christensen, CM Editor, and I'm assisted today by Martha Schmidt, ISSA Virtual Events Producer, and Kathleen Misovic, CMN Managing Editor. So some housekeeping notes before we get started. Let's make this interactive. It's all about you. Please use the Q&A and chat feature. Some of you already have. We appreciate that. Make noise. You're going to be muted, so don't worry about your dog in the background or anything like that. You will be getting a recording of this and via email, and it will be in CMM online and YouTube about a week after we do this, so you will have access to this. And CMM is part of ISSA. If you don't know what ISSA is, I encourage you to go to issa.com. It's working for you as we speak right now. So our first sponsor message. Thank you to our sponsors today. So please help me welcome today's panelists. We have Ramiro Alvarez. He's the Chief Operating Officer at Facilities Service Division of Grupo Iluno USA. Rachel Butowski, Chief Commercial Officer at Sovereign Commercial Services. And Tyler Hands, Executive Vice President of CNC Cleaning Services. So what would you like to learn from today's webinar? Again, I'm going to encourage you to use that chat. And today we're going to do some interactive polls. We recently did a BSC survey at CMM Magazine. It was in our November-December issue, but we'd like to see what you all are saying today. So on to our first poll question here. Okay, for our first poll question, how do you set your business apart? Now, feel free to select all that apply for you. I'll give you guys a few seconds as we figure out this first poll here. So experience and reputation is the winner there. And I think if we go to the next slide, we can see what experience and reputation is what our survey said as well. I think our results were pretty much what we saw in our poll. And as I mentioned, the survey is available at cmmonline.com and download it there. You'll see all the results and more of these questions as we go through our presentation today. So for our first question for our panelists here, what features and services set your business apart? And Tyler, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so how we set our business apart at CNC Cleaning Services, for us, it's all about partnership. So a true partner mentality for our facility partners, but it's also about operational transparency and then executional reliability. So we posture ourselves in the market by not being the cheapest vendor, right? We are partnering, with those facility managers to remove that decision fatigue that they seem to have. And we offer predictable outcomes, and it's powered by standardized processes and data-backed validation.
Thanks, Tyler. Rachel, did you have anything to add? Oh, gotta unmute there a second.
That helps, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for that. And thank you, Tyler. Definitely can relate to a lot of those responses. I'm going to side with what over 80% of respondents of both surveys said, and that was experience and reputation. We have a very high client retention rate, which we're very proud of, and that doesn't happen by accident. It's based off of really strong operational discipline. We are also are very forward-thinking and progressive when it comes to innovation and technology. But really, for me, if that root cause of that is our culture. We have core values that 8 core values actually that if you line them up, they spell out care a lot. And that's a thread in our organization, and it speaks to how we treat our people, but also our customers as well.
And Ramiro, if you wanted to join in.
Yes, thank you. Yulin is very people-centric in the terms of employee and clients, just as Tyler and Rachel mentioned. The organization culture is around the people. So we focus on making sure our employees feel appreciated, respected, admired, and that we provide all the tools they need to find success. And the same for our clients, right? They feel supported and they feel that we hear, we see their needs, and that we're attending to those in the way they like to see us. So that's what I see day to day in my business.
All great comments there. On to our next poll question here for all of our attendees. How much do these challenges pertain to your business? And if you could please select all that apply. Recruiting and retaining staff. I think that's not surprising. That's going to be one of our key topics today. Winning bids, maintaining profitable margins. Martha, if we could go on to the next slide. So this is what our BSC survey found. If you look at the dark green, that is what is most important. So recruiting and retaining staff and winning new bids, that's exactly what you all said today. That is what our survey found as well. Okay, the next slide. So let's get into one of those challenges here. Could you all share your tips for managing hiring costs and choosing employees who will support your company values? And I'm just going to group the second question in there with it. How do you avoid quality or service quality erosion caused by employee turnover and inexperienced teams? So we'll start with Rachel for that one.
Sure. And this is a big one. This is probably top on everybody's mind within our industry. I think that companies need to be very intentional about that hiring process. I wrote down something here that jumped out to me, but hiring the right people is always cheaper than hiring the wrong ones. And so that starts at the very beginning of making sure that there's a clear vetting process, being very clear with the job at hand, the task descriptions, doing job previews, whether that's a site walkthrough or even video or whatever it may be, but just setting up some processes to make sure that you're weeding out any of that misalignment that may exist. As far as preventing turnover, just one comment, and it seems obvious, but just want to talk a little bit about from a wage perspective. Certainly there's a lot of pressure right now within the labor market. But I think that this is an area that collectively, I say this is where it's not a no-sum game. I win, you lose. But that if we collectively make an effort to make sure that we're paying our frontline staff competitive wages, offering them benefits and healthcare and all of that, which I saw from our survey results actually that the majority of respondents do. So that's great. But the more that we could do that, the more that we're going to attract more individuals into this industry and help all of us as well.
Thanks, Rachel. Ramiro?
Yes, where I have seen more success in my organization in this specific topic is when Operations and HR are in alignment. There's good communication. Clear any gray areas that either one may have. And in that way, we can partner and find the best available resources in the market. As Rachel mentioned, there's a lack of personnel in some markets, and there's a high competition for labor. So you have to utilize your resources, because none of us have unlimited resources. We have, limited resources, so we have to utilize their time, energy to focus where we can get the best results. And again, I personally see that we get better results when we have an internal alignment, that we present the candidate as the specifics to make sure that we are a good fit for them and they're a good fit for us. And then secondary to that is the onboarding process, to make sure that we equip the new hire with the right information, the right tools for them to be successful. Because I think a lot of us see where we bring new hires on board and we lose them in the first week or 2 weeks. And when you go back and do kind of a root analysis, you find that there was a lack of communication, or there was something missing there, either for the employee or for the organization. And then the second question, where possible, we use a little bit of redundancy to fill in, where there might be some empty spaces. We also find that most of our employees, they benefit from working extra hours if we communicate well and in advance with them. So we ask our regional leaders and local leaders to utilize the systems the company have in place to forecast if there will be any empty or vacancies, so that we can solve it with the existing employees. And that always benefits the employee, benefits the organization in the short term, but the long term is to make sure that we have long tenure employees.
Great insights there. Yeah, I actually read a little bit about that, what's coming, that planning ahead is very important to employees. And Tyler, did you have things to add?
Yeah, so I mean, Rachel and Ramiro both hit a lot of the points right on the head there. One thing I would add to this is first, a big thing that I see that's lacking is a lot of folks aren't even tracking what their hiring costs are, right? That we don't know what the true cost of a hire is and the true opportunity cost of a vacancy. So those are two key items that a lot of BSCs need to be tracking that they maybe aren't. The other thing I would really want to touch on is, when we're choosing employees and hiring and, looking at who's going to support our company values, the biggest thing is you need to be able to identify what is your target avatar for an employee. Is it that person that has full-time income already that's just looking to supplement? Or is it a 40-hour-a-week day porter type position? And truly, dial in your job descriptions to reach your target audience of where you're hiring and things like that. And then on top of that, surveying and having, we utilize a lot of technology in our organization. So surveying those applicants and automating a lot of those steps so that way you can maximize your HR team's time on only communicating to really, really qualified applicants that already meet a lot of the qualifications that you already need. And now you're just checking for, last second culture fit. And then that allows you then to have a data pool to pull from to continue to elevate your recruiting.
Yeah, great insights there, from all three of you. We could go to the next slide, and we have another sponsor message here. And thank you to Tennant too. So this gets into the next half of the labor and our client's situation. How do you ensure the best cleaning outcomes through staff training and accountability? We'll start with Ramiro first.
Well, by the way, I love that Tennant commercial, though. It's what we live day in and day out. Well, I think it starts with training, right? With a good, effective training program that starts from the onboarding of the new employee, and then it goes down to placing the employee at the job site, in that continuation of continue education of the employee. Training it doesn't happen one time. It needs to happen every day. I think it's a collaboration between peers. And then obviously, setting the checkpoints to ensure that we're delivering the services the client, is paying for. So for that matter, we utilize technology to help us to, measure our performance, create reports, identify deficiencies in services, identify, the root causes of those deficiencies, and then apply the right solutions for that. As we all know, the cleaners get the finger pointing most of the times for anything that happens. So having those systems in place, it helps also to validate the work that we do, and to help our clients to communicate that with their peers.
I've lost track here. Rachel, would you like to chime in next?
Sure. Yeah, so certainly to piggyback off of Ramiro, training, to having a formal training program should be a bare minimum standard at this point. We specifically utilize ISSA SIMS practices from that perspective. Also, to duplicate Ramiro's comments just about, those frequent check-ins and inspections, I guess I would add is just that it's important that we close the loop with our cleaners and our frontline staff as well, and make sure that we're giving them the feedback and meeting with them on a regular basis. Doesn't need to be a formal sit down on a monthly basis, just could be short conversations during the day. And also rewarding good behavior, spotting our people doing something right, and incentivizing them for that goes a long way as well.
Oh, great ideas. And Tyler?
Yeah, no, both of those are again spot on. To add to it, again, it's all about the systems and processes, especially with training. So having it documented, well, hey, on day one, this is what we're training on, and here's the check off, right? And then being able to have continuous feedback loops with the cleaning technicians. So one thing in our organization, our managers aren't inspecting just to inspect; they're inspecting with the goal of coaching. And empowering those field level technicians to continue their education, whether it's through like monthly drip campaigns of just short form media content for them to learn, or just coach them in general from our management team when they are finding a deficiency, and then vice versa, giving them praise when they're doing things at a very high level. Those are all extremely critical.
All great answers there. And that leads us into our next poll question here. So we've talked about our business's challenges, but what are the top challenges impacting your customers? If you could please select all that apply here, and I will give you 30 seconds to activate the poll here. And I would say probably clients are dealing with more than just these issues too, but these were the top ones that came from our poll. All right, let me end it here. So reducing overall cleaning costs, improving facility image, sustainability is pretty far down there, although everybody always indicates sustainability should be higher. Health, Tenant retention's pretty far down too, which I think our survey found as well, and reducing the number of service contractors. So this is what our survey found. Again, the dark green color is what mattered the most to our survey participants. So improving facility image was the top, followed by reducing costs and the health and safety and security of the building, and tenant retention. Some of these other things were not important at all or not as important. But it's just interesting to see what we think our clients are thinking too. The next slide, please. So this gets into how do we show our clients what exactly we're doing here. So which technologies do you use to guarantee data validated cleaning outcomes? And we'll start with Rachel for this one.
Sure. Like I think it was Tyler that you had said that you welcome innovation and technology with open arms throughout your organization. Many of our processes are digital. We do utilize cleaning management technology. I think that was actually cited in the survey as one of the most impactful technologies that respondents have adapted within the last 5 years or so. I can't comment on what we personally utilize, but I know that there's many different programs out there, so I encourage everyone to do their homework on that. As far as, and I think that there's some obvious technologies. I actually was trying to give some thought to ones that weren't, that don't maybe are top of mind. My background is on the equipment side of the industry, actually. And so one thing that came to mind for me was telematics on cleaning equipment, and it's actually been around for a very long time. And I always felt that it was very underutilized by building service contractors as well. So when you talk about, data validated cleaning, the ability to be able to show productivity and routes and help with equipment maintenance and all of that, I just think it's something that BSCs could consider.
Tyler?
Yeah, so like Rachel said, the telematics side of things is a huge thing that's underutilized in our industry, kind of across the board from what I've seen. The other side of it, obviously, without getting into specifics of software of who's using what, but we utilize a cleaning management software that allows us to be extremely transparent, and we share quantitative results that are it's automatically shared with the actual point of contact for each account. And that shows them on a summary basis, hey, here's the percentage above standard, meet standard, or below, and then with timestamp photographs as well of each area. And then in addition to that, having really well documented checklists that can be digitized and having those, be logged when they enter into certain rooms, so that way you can be tracking, usages and things like that.
Great. Ramiro?
Yes, absolutely, right. Technology is going to help all of us to improve the image as well as reduce our cost. So we use a few different things, in different settings. Some customers have some preferences, but we use systems that allow us to track our personnel time each specific task, and we can the system itself produces reports as to when we were at that specific space, what were the cleaning tasks that the employee performed, and is a system stamp, and it goes to whoever you choose in the organization or the client side as well. So software, equipment, I can't imagine us in this industry living without technology nowadays. It just supports every single thing that we do it consistently, effectively, and also something that I failed to mention before is that with employee retention, I see where technology helps all of us to retain great employees, where they feel that, they're not killing themselves every day doing the work. They feel rewarded, and they want to come back the next day. So technology, if you're not using it now, you need to start using it. There's great support from different vendors, different companies that offer technology. I think there is technology for every budget, and for every specific task that you want to accomplish.
And I know our next slide here gets into AI, and spot on what Romero said. There's different levels of AI you can get involved at different cost levels as well. So the first question here, we'll start with Tyler. How are you using AI to optimize scheduling or inventory management and or quality control in your business? You could talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, AI is every single day something new's happening, or we're discovering something new in the world of AI. For us individually as an organization, we utilize AI and leverage it to a lot with our recruiting process. So that does probably about 60% of what used to be manual vetting and essentially automated that process. So obviously there's some savings there if you can imagine. But in
Right.
addition to that, we've whether it's creating custom GPTs or utilizing software that has AI already embedded into it. We use AI to help forecast for supply ordering, and obviously helps us with forecasting and budgeting when we look into yearly fiscal planning as well as job costing. And we actually have AI that helps flag jobs that are potentially underperforming and will alert supervisors to go in and make a decision.
Okay. All great things there. How about you, Ramiro?
Absolutely. I think that all of us are AI students nowadays. As Tyler mentioned, there's new things coming out every day. The systems that we were using a few months ago, they've been enhanced by AI, and it's definitely a benefit for the organization, for the client, for the employees. We use AI for scheduling. We have specific people in the organization looking at that, especially for Grupo Euling is in the aviation division or aviation business. So there's a lot of fluctuation there with times, the scheduling. So using a tool like this is absolutely necessary to comply with the airlines demands and KPIs, and making sure that we're staying ahead of the curve. Quality control is big in our operations. We use AI as well for quality control with the tools that we use to communicate the results of the quality audits throughout the operations and also the clients. So there's a lot of great stuff, right? And there's things that we're not using right now that I wish we will be able to use. But we're having those conversations, and we're looking at making sure that we don't have just an array of things that we don't know how to use, but making sure that the things that we implement in the operations are the right things at the right moment, and that we can definitely track the performance and enjoy the benefits.
And Ramiro, I'll start with you in this second question here. This kind of piggybacks to the AI, and it's all intertwined actually, but what robotics or autonomous cleaning equipment or other tech is aiding in cost controls for BSCs?
It's interesting, right? Just last night, we submitted a substantially large, proposal to a buyer for a large square footage area. I'm talking about in excess of a million square feet. And one of the keys for this client was using robotics and automated equipment, right, which we're already using. So it brings, huge benefits to the industry and the operations. I had the pleasure of being at the ASAI CBS conference a few weeks ago, and one of the things that I wanted to see was the advancements of technology, robotics, automated equipment, and different things like that. And I was very pleased to see that we continue to evolve in that sense. And we use from automatic scrubber machines, sweepers, indoor, outdoor. So there is one for every application that you can think of. My recommendation to BSCs is to partner with your vendors, assess the facilities where you want to implement this equipment, to make sure that you're implementing equipment that is going to benefit the operations, is going to benefit the facilities, and is going to accomplish the goal, right? Because, one thing that none of us wants to see is waste of resources, where we didn't make the right decision and we didn't get the impact that we were after. So your local vendors, your local reps play a key role in identifying and choosing the right automated equipment, robotics, to make sure again that you get the benefit that you're looking for.
Rachel, would you like to add to that?
Sure, definitely. And it's funny because as I mentioned, prior to joining Sovereign, I spent 18 years on the equipment side of the industry, where I sat on the other side of the table, being one of those reps that Ramiro's speaking about, selling autonomous and robotic cleaners to our building service contract partners. To the previous point that if you've been to ISSA, you know that the robots aren't coming, that they're here. I also found it interesting, again, back to the survey, I think it was over 50% of respondents stated that they had not considered or trialed or really taken seriously implementing robotics within their programs. And I think my comment to that is just, to Ramiro's point, that they continue to evolve and change, and the robots that we're looking at today are not the same robots that were here 5 years ago. With that said, they are still not completely autonomous. We often refer to them as cobots. They still need some labor interaction from that perspective. But I think that if we take a step back, especially from a cost perspective, so with that previous point, it's not going to solve our labor challenges, at least not today. But if we look at it holistically of some of the other benefits that are there, I know, again, through some of the CMM's work and some of the survey respondents, where still a major concern is the safety of our employees, and slip, trip, and fall injuries, repetitive injuries, and that also all comes at a cost to us as well. And implementing robotics and autonomous can help minimize some of those maybe indirect costs as well.
Great points, Rachel. And Tyler, I'll let you talk.
Yeah, so I mean, they both pretty much said everything I would say. Only thing to add to that, a lot of people are maybe a little bit more adverse to implementing technology because of the fear of, oh, humans are losing their jobs to it, so on and so forth. Look at implementing robotics and autonomous cleaning equipment as a way to amplify your workforce, right? It's a force multiplier. And when we view it from that perspective, a lot of doors open, and it's a great opportunity.
Okay, the next slide here. So we're talking about money. How can BSCs demonstrate quality in facility appearance, indoor air quality, and sustainability, as well as justify value over cost? So I know that's a big question there. We will start with Rachel first, I think.
Sure. So I thought it was interesting. You had asked today's attendees again about their challenge, or our clients, I'm sorry, our facilities concerns and challenges. And I think the top one was improving facility image, and the second one was by reducing costs. And so we can't do both, as we know. So I think, that it really starts, we need to educate our clients and our customers as far as what that value of clean is, of which we know. Um, um, and I think that we need to also have those conversations. We need to talk more about outcome than cost. We need to try to quantify the value that we all offer, whether that's less complaints, more time for our partners to focus on other priorities. Certainly, that positive impact on culture. Everything that we know is a benefit. We need to make sure that we're educating our customers and quantifying that when we can.
Yeah, Tyler, if you wanted to join in.
Yeah, so just like Rachel said, a lot of it's about how we orate and articulate this to our clients that we're working with in their facilities. So it's one of those like being able to articulate that a shiny lobby is a recruitment tool, clean restrooms, reduce complaints, and proper floor care, it protects six-figure investments. And when you approach it from that angle, it makes it a lot easier to have difficult conversations when it's related to cost. So that's from my experience there. But again, our job is to translate cleaning outcomes into business outcomes. And when you can make that correlation happen, and especially like Rachel said, when you can quantify it, because most of our partners are numbers-oriented individuals, when you can quantify that and put a number to what clean is, that makes those conversations a lot easier. And generally, it increases your overall client lifespan, right? You helps with the retention aspect there as well.
For sure. And that's all very important to businesses. Ramiro?
Yeah, I don't have much to add, but I just like to emphasize what Tyler was saying, right? We're responsible for producing, or showing the customer the value, and you can't put a price on health and safety. We in our case, Grupo Yulin, we partnered with one of our business partners for indoor air quality, and we provide the data to the clients to identify where they're having, in some cases, major risk that put their employees at risk, and we offer the solutions, right? So in that case, the client has to determine, what's more important for them, right? And obviously, the answer is to keeping their employees and staff, healthy and safe in safe environments. So, but yes, it's up to us to demonstrate the client the value that we bring to their business and how they benefit from that, their facilities. And at the end of the day, that all of this helps them to focus on their core business and be successful at whatever they do, right?
And I just wanted to get into company culture just a little bit here. Does too much focus on budgets and revenue harm company culture? I don't know, Tyler, if you wanted to touch on that one.
I mean, I think it's a valid argument. I think it erodes culture over time as people are starting to view things just as numbers on a balance sheet or a profit and loss statement. But I think having an overarching focus like budget and revenue are 100% things that have to be talked about. But at the same time, you have to again articulate it to the client and to our staffs as well, our sales teams. But at what point does that cost and hyper fixating on revenue and budget, at what point does that start harming our employees' well-being? And there is a really nice blend that can happen, and when those two things align, organizations become powerhouses. However, it's getting to that point that's really difficult. But yeah, in my opinion, I would say hyperfixating on revenue and budgets, it does erode company culture over time.
Ramiro, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, obviously they're important. But as Tyler said, over focusing on those two things is counterproductive to culture and people, right? I think that transparency is the basis of a good conversation when it comes to budget and revenue. You know, in this industry, we all know, what the industry is around, and there's nothing or not much to hide from any client, right? So, uh, my advice would be to, work on those partnerships based on transparency. I always tell my clients, look, we're an open book. We can open our books anytime. We can discuss anything you may want to discuss, and be conscious also that our clients, their budgets may change, so we can help them to, adjust to the new budget and still accomplish, what they need to accomplish. So I would say don't try to avoid the conversation, but don't over focus on that as well.
And Rachel?
Yeah, short answer is yes. I don't think I have too much else to add. I think at the end of the day, we're all here, both us and our clients, to run sustainable, profitable businesses. But I think that if you focus on some of the other intangibles or the value, your people, your processes, your results and your budgets and your revenue will come.
And our last question for our panelists here before we get into our questions in the chat and the Q&A and the ones that were submitted when people registered. If you would all be so kind to share your unique or outside of the box advice for BSC success in 2026. And Ramiro, I could start with you.
Well, I would say all of the above, right? Everything that we covered so far. But the first thing that comes to my mind is embracing, technology and innovation. I think that's going to help you to overcome challenges a lot easier than not. And make sure that your organization is open to new ideas, to see the industry in new ways. And always remember that, we're in a people business industry. It doesn't matter how much technology, innovation we implement in the business, we're still going to be, for the most part, depending on collaboration and working together. So I think is focusing on your people and making sure to provide the right tools for their success.
Thank you. Great advice. Rachel?
Sure. I'm going to piggyback on just kind of the people focus side of things, and I'm going to give a little bit of a shameless plug for an organization that's really near and dear to my heart that I think Elizabeth might be aware of as well. But the ISSA has the Hygiene Network. It's one of their nonprofit organizations that's dedicated to the advancement of women in the industry. However, it's open to everybody. There's resources for everybody, and I would encourage, it's a great resource when we talk about people development for today's attendees and BSCs to really lean into organizations like that. They have webinars. There's a career toolkit. Regional networking and consider if there, for example, a regional event near you, send one of your cleaners, one of your talents there. It really could be life-changing and certainly would go a long way in long-term engagement. So.
Right. There's not enough I could say. I mean, Hygia is great. Martha actually put in the chat the link to it if anyone is interested. They also provide mentorship and everything else as well. So it's a really great organization to be involved in. Tyler, one last thought here?
Sure. Yeah. So to piggyback on both of them, cleaning's what we do, but we're in the people industry, right? It's about the relationships, building your team, making sure you have the right people in the right seats in your organization to steer that forward. But the other kind of outside the box advice, be prepared to embrace the change in technology that's coming. It's already here for the most part, but it's going to continue to adapt and evolve. And, just remember, automation isn't replacing the individual, it's automation amplifying them. And, be proactive in terms of your learning management system and the tools that you're using to help foster a culture of education in your organizations. And once you start getting your frontline workers bought into that stuff, lots of good things happen and the dominoes start to fall in a positive direction. So that would be my outside the box advice.
Well, thank you, Tyler, and thank you all. CMM's managing editor, Kathleen Misovic, is going to help me handle these questions here. I know one that came in, if our panelists wouldn't mind sharing, they're interested to know company sizes. Would you give a rough estimate of how large your company is so people had an idea who don't know much about your companies? I don't know, Tyler, if you wanted to start.
Yeah, so we have 3 divisions. In our commercial service division, we are north of 250 full-time employees. And that's frontline workers.
Okay. Yep. Ramiro?
Well, as a group, Uline is a global organization based out of Madrid, Spain. It's been in business for 62 years, and we are in 14 different countries. The US is our second largest market with over 3,500 employees.
Okay, thank you. And Rachel?
Yeah, and I would just say that we consider ourselves a medium-sized company, mostly a regional player, but we do have national and nationwide clients as well.
Okay, thank you. And one thing that I didn't mention before, if someone wanted to ask a question, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you and you can ask a question live too. So feel free to do that. And then I'm going to turn this over to Kathleen now.
Thank you, Beth. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. We did have some people submit some questions when they registered for the webinar. So one question we have, someone asked, what do you do when a building manager requests an item of your company that's not a product or service that's not in your contract? Is there anyone who would like to jump into that one?
Sure. So if one of our partners is requesting something that's outside of our scope and it is a service that we provide, our organization does everything for the most part in-house for facility services. It's essentially quoted upon request, and then we have that conversation. Internal partners, people that are already clients of ours, do have a little bit more aggressive pricing in that regard, and we simply submit the quote, and then we would perform the service and bill it as such.
Thank you. If anyone else would like to answer, please jump in. Otherwise, I'll go to the next question. Oh, Ramiro?
Yeah, sure. I have a good friend in the industry many years ago. He used to say, if a client asks me to build an airplane, I say, sure, I'll build it and, I'll figure it out later, right? So I think all of us have the same mentality. We want to partner with our clients. We want to be resourceful for them. We want to help them find solutions. Grupo Uline is a global company. We act as a local company. In many cases, in our case, if a client asks for something that we don't necessarily offer here in the US, most likely 99% of the times we offer in some other country. So we collaborate with SMEs and we're able to find solutions for the client.
Thank you. All right. I can go into another question. And this actually has to do, a registrant was asking, what questions do you ask a facility decision maker to determine their priorities on the spectrum of quality to value? If anyone wants to jump in, if not, we can try another question. So,
Catherine, can you repeat? Oh, Kathleen, I'm sorry. Can
Sure.
you repeat the question?
Yes, it is kind of a long question. So they were just asking if you have the decision maker at a facility that your BSC works with, what kind of questions do you ask them to determine what their priorities are in terms of quality and value? Like, for instance, how, important are quality things over saving cost. So
yeah, that's a great question, right? And starting the conversation is the key. In asking questions to your prospects and clients is really healthy for the relationship. And I would say ask specific questions. What you think is relevant to your client, and they have the right to answer or decline. But I personally find uh, great benefit from having conversations with my clients about their challenges, including budgets and other things, and asking them what's most important for them, what makes them successful in what they do in their organizations, and how we can partner with them to support those goals. A lot of times the client will ask for something that they may not have the resources to cover the cost. So you can find solutions together, right? And maybe shift the structure of the work a little bit, to help them find or offset that cost in their budgets.
all right, thank you. We have a participant who put a question in the Q&A, and this one is getting more specific into technology. They were asking, does smart restroom automation really help reduce cleaning labor costs? And if so, how do you determine or estimate the ROI? So do we have any BSCs that deal a lot with smart restroom automation that have a comment?
Well, the short answer is absolutely does, right? It reduces your cost and improves your service, and also improves the customer satisfaction. How do you measure that? I think is in collaboration again with your client. For instance, we use IoT at airports where we have ample base of employees that they can be routed based on the needs. The systems are alerting the employees. The nice thing about IoTs is that you can produce reports, you can demonstrate the client, the services, the value that you add into their business. And I think that together, the BSC and the client can determine, the cost savings and the efficiencies that we're finding along the way.
All right, thank you. We have another question, and this is coming from someone who works with automated cleaning tech, and they want to know how is the best way to work with their BSC partners to kind of have a conversation about implementing automated cleaning tech. What do you really want to know from like a distributor or a manufacturer about this tech without having a high pressure sales pitch?
Yeah, so at least from my perspective, sometimes it feels like our distributors or different product reps sometimes bombard us with, we're gonna come in the office, bring you coffee and donuts for the whole team, and then we're gonna sit down for 30, 40 minutes and have an in-depth discussion. I think the key items that we want to know kind of from the beginning is what's it going to cost to implement, what's it going to cost to maintain, and then what are some of the results that we could expect to see, and then provide us, it could be high level or and really just general basic data points of, on average, you're going to save 30% of your time. Well, we can digest that number and kind of apply it to each situation depending on where we want to implement that technology. But the best way, in my opinion, is low pressure, come in and just give us, the basic data points that we need to even begin to evaluate a decision. And then we will reach out and we can discuss more in depth.
All right, I think that's very useful advice for any distributors who might be listening. We have another question. When, say you have an existing company and a new property management comes on board, and they have different targets for reducing costs, and maybe these are targets you really don't agree with, how would you navigate this?
Yeah, that's a great question, and one that we've gone through a few times this year already in our organization. So for us, that essentially restarts the clock on building a relationship with that new property manager. And for us, our process internally is our account management team that's over that area and over that account is going to go out and we're going to have a meeting with them. Hey, let's try and find some level of alignment on your points. And if it's, we have to shave 20% off our monthly invoice. Okay, gotcha. Well, let's go back and re-examine that scope of work because, maybe there was scope creep or, hey, maybe there's areas that could, we could justify less service and trying to find that middle ground. But the biggest thing is reestablishing and rebuilding. You have to rebuild rapport and that entire relationship as if it's a brand new client because, again, they don't know you and they're just coming in trying to make an impact from their very first day. And our goal is to obviously retain the account, but obviously manage that relationship in a respectful manner and get them rebought into us.
All right, thank you.
Everything Tyler said, right? And I would say is adapting to the change, which is hard for all of us. We like to think that everything we do it better than anybody else, and that everything we do is right. But that's probably not the case all the time, right? So, embrace change. As Tyler said, we have gone through some of those changes as well. In some cases, we've been successful. In some cases, we haven't been successful. But again, where I find more success is where, again, we open the conversation with the new representative, the new client, and we ask the right questions to make sure that, we are offering, the right solutions and not thinking that what we have done the last 20 years is what they necessarily want to see moving forward.
All right, thank you. I see we're at 2:00. Elizabeth, should we, is this a good ending point for us?
Right. I think change in 2026 is exactly where we're heading. And as BSCs, hopefully these tips today will help you pivot into next year. I'd like to thank all of our panelists, and please look out for an email from us and the video online in about a week. Thank you all very much today.